So first virus to describe is human papillomavirus. It is DNA containing, double-stranded DNA containing naked virus belong to family of Papillomaviridae. So it have kind of simple structure. It's made of two structural proteins, late 1 and late 2, or L1 and L2 proteins, and composed of 72 capsomeres. In general, we have more than 200 different viruses in that family according to genetic arrangement of L1 protein. And actually, you all know that papilloma viral infection, usually it is known as just papilloma, and actually all infections are limited to basal mucosal or cutaneous epithelium of human tissues. And till nowadays, human is the only natural reservoir of human papillomavirus, and it is the most common virus worldwide. Major number of people are infected with this virus in common population. If you talk, of course, about oncogenic viruses, we have herpes virus, especially 6 and 7, which of course have much higher prevalence, but they're not oncogenic as it's known till the moment. So if you talk about common properties of infections caused by that virus, we have about 40 viruses which can spread through direct contact from human to human, sexual or non-sexual contact. Usually they're transmitted only by direct touching skin to skin or mucus to skin. Major number of people who are infected with human papillomavirus, they became infected after onset of sexual activity. Of course, in younger kids, that disease, that virus is absolutely rare because contacts with other people are not so high, and immunity is usually more resistant to that infection. If you talk about viruses which are transmitted by sexual way, usually they're classified into two groups, in two categories. It is low-risk oncogenic viruses and high-risk oncogenic viruses, or low-risk HPVs and high-risk HPVs. So low-risk oncogenic viruses usually causing simple skin warts, which are absolutely familiar with you. It is skin lesion, type of overgrowth of skin, usually identified around genital or around anal area, and two major types. It is HPV-6 and HPV-11, which are responsible for more than 90% of all genital warts. If you talk about high-risk oncogenic viruses which can cause cancer disorders, then we have more than 13 types of virus, but usually only 16 and 18 types are identified in different cancer disorders, and about 70% of cervical cancers are caused by those two types. So if you talk about viruses transmitted through non-sexual direct contact, usually they cause skin warts on fingers or on toes, and we have those warts as the most common type of infection, which is usually favorable, self-limited, and causing only local disturbances or some cosmetic disorders. So usually after first episode of infection, papillomavirus infections occur as asymptomatic infection, or some of them even can be eliminated by human immunity within 1 or 2 years. But in some cases, those viruses can persist for years, and that chronic infection of our own cells can damage viral cells genes and can alter genome, and those cells will progress to cancer cells. So in general, cervical cancer is in top 5 of most frequent cancer diseases in women. And again, official data states that in 2012, we have more than 5,100 cases of cervical cancer diagnosed as the first episode in different countries in women. And lethal outcomes due to cervical cancer is approximately 7.5% of all cancer deaths worldwide. So for our lucky, in recently we had vaccines registered for use in human against two most frequent high-risk oncogenic viruses, HPV 16 and 18, and in many countries they are already approved for scheduled use in human, and usually they're indicated in young adults of 11 or 12 years before, of course, sexual activity. In our country, that vaccine is not approved. In your country as well, that vaccine is absent, but it is available in different types of pharmacy. If you like to vaccinate yourself or your kids, you can buy that vaccine and use. So cervical cancer can be recognized by, first of all, common symptoms of cancer disorder, such as loss of appetite, weight loss, fatigue, tiredness, pain in affected organ. Usually first specific for cervical cancer symptoms will appear and manifest as different type of disruptions in menstrual cycle, abnormal vaginal bleeding, which will worse after sexual intercourse, and different types of discomfort, not very pleasant smelling, pain in lower part of abdomen, and in some cases even swallowing of legs were noticed by women suffering from that cervical cancer. So usually human papillomavirus require about 20 years to progress to cancer, and of course it is long period. It is kind of lower progressing disease, but still, of course, that disease should be identified in a properly manner and treated as soon as possible. We have several risk factors for HPV cancer. It is multiple sexual partners without changing of their health state, early sexual life, use of tobacco is independent risk factor, not only for lung disorders, but for any cancer in general, and of course different types of immunosuppression, such as HIV infection or cytostatic therapy, chemotherapy in the case of other cancer, is the risk of development of other types of cancer as well. So few photos of skin warts. It is a non-venereal transmitted skin warts. It's looking like an overgrowth of the tissue, like some scar or a bubble on the skin, usually with hyperkeratosis of that superficial epithelium, and it can be single element, it can be multiple elements. Usually, initially, people have one wart, mother wart, and after that, it will form kind of roots, and other baby warts will appear around in that affected area. Without a therapy, disease can have spontaneous convalescence in some time period, usually a few years, or it can spread if immunity is still low. It can spread to surrounding tissues and become multiple type of infection. So, of course, a lot of students, a lot of people asking what to do with that wart, how to treat. It causes some discomfort. It is looking not very good. And actually, we still didn't have any targeted therapy, but we have a lot of measures to remove that damaged epithelium layer. We have cryotherapy, we have laser therapy, we have cone biopsy, and multiple different techniques to remove that wart. If it is single element, of course, they can be useful and they can help to remove that wart. But again, you should remember that it is always human-to-human transmission, and usually it is some other family member or close friends who infected people with that wart. And of course, that therapy should be given for every family member who have the same problem, because if you will not remove it in your family members, then that infection is absolutely will very soon will appear in you again. So we have usually some local drugs. Main number of countries we have some traditional medicine drugs. We have only 2 drugs officially approved and with confirmed effect against papillomavirus for topical use. It is Poraflox, or trade name is Condylox, original name. It is available as a solution or gel for local application. It can suppress that viral growth and remove wart, but of course that process is not very fast, and usually several weeks are required to remove the skin wart. And we have imiquimod, or Aldara, the trade name of the drug. Again, it is available as a cream for local application, but course of therapy can be kind of long. So in Russia, we have Celandine solution, or biological name is Chelidonium solution. In Russia, it is Chistotel. It is an extraction from herbs, which is effective, and a lot of people who use that solution, they said that yes, it is working good. It is for removal of those skin warts that have some unknown mechanism of activity, but it is good, and a lot of people again who use that solution, they said that it was very good, and the drug is available at any pharmacy in our country. It is absolutely safe and available. It is cheap because it is simple extraction from the drug. So only deep warts cannot be removed, by especially if it is a leg wart or foot wart, then maybe only surgical invasion or cryotherapy can help. So we will talk only slightly about other viruses. First virus is Merkel cell polyoma virus. It is the virus which can affect Merkel cells. It is a newly discovered virus, and actually is causing disorders in elder population. And nowadays, 3 genesis and 22 species of polyoma viruses are described. All viruses are naked, have icosahedral symmetry. They are double-stranded DNA as the major number of oncogenic viruses, and genome is kind of short. So human polyomaviruses till the moment counts for 11 species, and 10 of them were discovered in the last 10 years. So it is really new virus which is just in the beginning of study, and we have very limited data about those viruses. So Merkel cell carcinoma is usually abbreviated to MCC. It is a malignancy of human. Again, it is a specific type of cell which is identified in human body, and actually first description of that cancer dated by 1875. It was described as Dutch cells. That cell was described, and those cells and their disorder is known for almost centuries, but viruses were not known and discovered recently. So it was noticed that actually main number of people who are affected with MCC are people of Caucasian race, usually older than 70 years, and living in an area with high exposure to sun. Some amount of infections caused by Merkel cell polyoma virus are asymptomatic, but again, they can transform to malignancy. And it is a common picture of location of Merkel cells. They are located in basal layer of epidermis, and usually they are binded to terminal ends of sensory fibers, which are responsible for innervation of epithelium or hair follicles. And those cells, Merkel cells, they are acting as mechanoreceptors to transmit stimuli from skin to neural tissues and they're responsible for that sensation of the touch. So it is a photo of merkel cell carcinoma in different locations. Of course, they can have different number, different severity, but in general, initially it's looking like a small reddish branches, but with the time it will grow and size of that growth will, of course, enlarge. It will progress and can reach to very large size, and of course it will cause local disturbances, it will cause changing in general appearance. And initially people will think that it is some disorder which will gone very soon, but of course with the time that cancer will progress and it will become obvious that it is some abnormal thing. The last virus is HTLV virus, HTLV1 virus, human T lymphotropic virus. And again, I have nothing to show, no pictures to show, because it is a virus responsible for different cancers in blood. Of course, it is leukemia is the main problem, and that virus is already found worldwide. It is the first virus in Retroviridae family which was discovered. And again, first episode of infection usually appears as asymptomatic, and a lot of people carry that virus without any clinical manifestations. But later during the life, that virus will transform our cells to malignant cells, and some cancer disorders will appear. So again, during that silent period, a lot of people will infect surroundings during sexual intercourse, during breastfeeding, or maybe some organ tissue or blood donation. And nowadays, still we don't have any screening tests which are obligate for donors. So it is easier to become infected with that virus during different surgical transplantation procedures. And as for multiple viruses, we don't have any vaccines, and even no vaccines are registered for some clinical research or preclinical research. We don't have enough information about donors, because in our country screening is not performed, and main number of countries not performing that screening. And of course, it is difficult to control the disease, but common measures are absolutely available, and maybe some changes in obligate screening procedures of donors will be introduced soon. But nowadays, again, no one controlling that virus. So most frequent disorders caused by that virus is T-cell leukemia, T-cell lymphoma, and different type of myelopathies. So if you talk general about oncogenic viruses, of course, the only option of treatment of cancer is surgical therapy, X-ray therapy, and chemotherapy, and common measures of cancer therapy are applied for those viruses as well. We don't have any cure for oncogenic viruses. The only option is to keep those viruses under control by health immunity, to keep immune system in tonus, to keep it working good. And our immunity is the only way to control those viruses, because usually cancer is observed during impair of immune system with the age or by some other reasons. So actually it is the last lecture in that course, and it is the last lecture in microbiology course. So of course, I'm pretty sure that you will use those knowledges not only to pass exam, they will be maybe beneficial for you in future practice and save your knowledges to save lives of your future patients. That's all for current day. Bye bye. See you.